what's going on in there, and you want to start changing it over to activeness, to an active writing. So if and once you do, you're going to want to go back and read it again to see if it, if that has a better feel to it. A passive voice is the one performing the action is not mentioned or is not the subject in your writing. This style of writing is usually used in a speech or a lecture. A lot of times when you're giving speeches or lectures, it's going to be in a passive voice. It's used when you're trying to explain something or when you want to sound like you're well informed. Sales copy is best written with an informal style. Informal style should read like a conversation and not a lecture. And that passive voice is a lot of times used for lectures, and you don't want it to come across as I'm lecturing you. Make the reader feel comfortable so they will be relaxed and enjoy your writing. The last thing you want is for them to feel as if they're in a classroom. This goes with your emails as well. Give them a feel that they're enjoying what you're actually writing, what they're reading. Do not make the mistake of thinking that the active voice is the only way you should write your sales copy. You can go overboard, like I've said before. So don't think that that's the only way that you need to be writing. At times, it's going to be perfectly appropriate to phrase a sentence using a passive voice. For example, using the passive voice can be an excellent way to avoid assigning responsibility for a job or blame or a problem. When you're writing sales copy, you don't want to put the blame on that person that you're reading. It would be like if you were at work. A lot of times somebody might speak to you in a more passive voice or send a memo that, if there was mistakes made and that person could be identified, but maybe you don't want to come right down and embarrass that person, identify them, so you would use more of a passive where you would say something like, mistakes were made, instead of, I made a mistake, or you made a mistake, because those are going to be things that are going to turn the readers off. So using a passive voice there would be very acceptable, where you're not assigning responsibility. Just have the understanding of why you're using the passive voice instead of the active voice, and be aware of the fact that you're doing it. Now let's kind of break the active and passive voice writing down in examples. An active voice writing would be like, excuse me, many copywriters are often misunderstand the active writing concept. A passive voice might be, the active writing concept is often misunderstood by many. Now in the second example there, you can see that the passive voice leaves the identity of the person misunderstanding active writing out. So our mind will automatically find a suitable substitute to place in the passive writing example. So where we're saying the active writing concept is often misunderstood, our mind is going to fill in somebody that whoever you feel is misunderstanding this concept. Are they saying, they're going to say, yeah, I misunderstand this a lot. Or whoever's writing it, maybe they're the one that's misunderstanding this. Well, the other one says many copywriters. We're talking about copywriters. Or you could have started that with the word copywriters often misunderstand the active writer concept. Would probably have been a little bit better even yet. But you're identifying who and the action that's going to be taken by that person. Go through your sales copy carefully, working out in your mind in each sentence, is it an active or passive voice? Sentence written in a passive voice generally will contain the use of the words was and by. So if you're reading it and you see those kind of words, you can go back and look at them, and maybe you can kind of tweak them to write it in more of an active voice. Rewrite sentences identified as being written in passive voice, especially if they really don't read really good. If it was kind of a hard read, try rewriting each using the active voice structure of writing. Use the active voice style of writing can be an easy way to improve dull or lifeless sales copy for those not confident in the writing abilities. After you rewrite them, go back, reread the whole sales copy from start to finish. If it's just a certain paragraph, reread that paragraph. Maybe go up a paragraph or two and read back through to see if it's a little bit easier. But once you're all done, go back and read your sales copy and make sure that it reads a little bit better. You should notice an overall tone change and feel to your new sales copy. So this could be a good way to just make some tweaks and help your conversions by just going through and maybe adding some more active voice instead of passive in a lot of your sales copy and stuff. That could be just enough just to really start getting some better conversions. If you find yourself having troubles with certain sentences, Do a Google search for a copywriting forum. Ask for help with rewording. These guys in these forums love to help people because it makes them look really cool and good, like they're the expert out there. They like to feel like you're noticing them as the expert. So say, you're not going to want to go in there every time you turn around with 100 cents, because after a while they're going to start charging you for the work. But it's like, hey guys, I'm having a little bit of a problem. I've got this sentence and I just can't write. I'm having a hard time writing this so it really reads good. Can anybody offer me a little bit of advice or help? I respect your guys' your comments here and those of you that rewrite it. Be very thankful. But one of the things that you want to keep in mind is also don't just go into some forum you've never been into and expect a whole lot. Make sure that it's someplace that maybe you've been active in. But if you haven't, don't be scared to go in there and just ask for a little bit of advice. Strive for excellence. Using these tips will attract more eyes, make people read for a longer time, create more leads, and ultimately close more sales. Always remember that your letter will be contending with many other sales letters that your reader will receive every day, sent by salespeople vying for their undivided attention, just as you are. Too many people let that right there scare them away from ever doing anything. They're saying, I'm just not going to be able to compete, so I'm just not going to do it. You can compete if you step up to the plate and you strive for excellence. To cut through the clutter, your sales letter needs to be excellent, diverse, proficient, and relevant. Do your research. You may have the greatest product, but if you cannot communicate that your potential buyers and convince them to buy your product, you will not make it. So learn to articulate the benefits of your products or services. You don't have to be a spectacular writer to create a sales letter that works. All you need to do is know how to sell to people and what causes them to buy. That's something that's very important, to learn the persuasion tactics, what causes people to buy. Know these things. Know the people that you're writing for. All right, I want to thank you for watching this training. My suggestion is to find well-written sales copy and study it. Go through the sales copy and look for the elements of good written sales copy that were discussed in the training, and look to see if it's actually following the AIDA formula. Go see if you can identify the action and the interest and the desire and the attention that the AID formula is. Go through sales copy and see if you can actually find, the attention is probably going to be the headline or the subject line or the title of the post or whatever. You can pretty much guarantee that's probably where it's going to be the attention. But go through it and see if you can identify this formula in this other people's sales copy.